Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I'm making for BranSi0730 ZHANG as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen on Spotify and we're going to be listening through it from start till finish. And we're going to hear what we think. We've also got lyrics for that, so let's go. Let's do it. Nice to be listening through a track I've heard once.
Tell someone to love me. I need to rest in arms. Keep me safe from harm and pouring rain. Give me endless summer. Lord, I feel the cold. Feel I'm getting old before my time.
He's got a beautiful voice, hasn't he? And I just love the tone of the guitars with those chords.
As my soul heals the shame, I will grow through this pain. Lord, I'm doing
Double tracking?
all I can to be a better man. Go easy on my conscience.
Never noticed the strings there, but they're kind of nice.
'Cause it's not my fault. I know I've been told
And keys?
to take the blame. Rest assured my angels will catch my tears. Walk me out of here. I'm in pain. As my soul.
That's an unusual chord there. That one there. I always thought it was simpler than that, but there's an unusual bass note, and I'm going to see if I can... hang on. It's like an E flat chord. Like an E flat chord sometime, with a different bass note.
Through this pain, Lord, I'm doing
Maybe it's not double tracked at that part. I thought it was before.
to be a better man.
And bass guitar?
Once you found that lover, you're homeward bound. Love is all around. Love is all around. I know some have fallen on
The ascension with the strings is absolutely divine, dude.
but love is all around.
Like, there's so much going on in this track that I think we miss as passive listeners. Like, as a kid, like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't listening to music in the same way as I am as, like, an adult, let alone a reviewer, but...
Tell someone to love me.
wow, man, there's so much love put into
I need
this.
to rest in arms. Keep me safe from harm and pouring rain. Give me endless summer. Lord, I feel the cold. I feel I'm getting old.
There are these little kind of sub-layer key parts on the right hand in the higher range there, and it's such phenomenal decision-making to include that because it's such an incredible sense of dimensionality to it.
Before my time, as my soul
I love that chord.
feels the shame, I will grow through this pain. Lord, I'm doing
With the slide guitars as well, my goodness, man.
to be a better man.
Oh, and it just finishes like that. I thought it had another run. Oh, it's so short and sweet. I think this is actually an incredible track. Like, Robbie Williams was an absolute beast. I don't know, like, who else was involved with the writing of this track, whether Robbie was solely responsible for having recorded and, you know, done all of this. But, like, either way, what an absolute, like, monster of musician he was back then. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Robbie Williams titled Better Man off of the album Sing When You're Winning. Now, what I want to sort of say first off, I want to thank, you know, Brandon as well as, you know, all the other SP patrons for bringing forward tracks like this. They're even ones that I've heard before but get the chance to be able to hear for a second time with a more focused perspective. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I genuinely appreciate it, because it can just be so easy to not really like listen to music, to just kind of pass it by and not really accept or, you know, interact with the intricacies. But I think with a song like this, it's so incredibly important to give it a shot, because there's so much cool stuff going on there. But to go through the conclusion in the usual way I try to, this track I think is about someone who is simply realizing that they want that connection to someone they love. And there is a sort of a contrast between the parts where, like the interlude section, I suppose, when love is all around and there's a really dreamy reverbs in the choir parts and stuff like that. What I like about that is that the music matches what the words are saying. And I understand that's such a basic, obvious thing, but it's very much what you need to be doing as a composer when there are lyrics, is trying to get the listener to a perspective where they can kind of hear the lyrics without them being sung, if that makes sense. You can tell the story from what you're hearing. The part about the soul feels the shame, that complication of that really deep, meaningful first chord there is so powerful. It really does sort of cement you and ground you as a listener, and really it invites you to try and understand the way that Robbie is feeling in a way that I don't think a traditional sort of major minor triad would. I think that an unusual chord that forces you to pay attention isn't just a way of, you know, trying to facilitate just attention. It's attention for the reason that it makes sense with the story. And I'm thankful for that. That is the difference between a lot of music. Like, that's the difference between a good song and a great song. And I never thought I'd be this positive about a Robbie Williams song, because when I was younger, I didn't really care for his music. I was like, oh, I like rock and metal and stuff. And before rock and metal, it was rap, but I never really got into this kind of stuff. And I think actually, as I've gotten older, I think I actually appreciate it more. The vocals are done tremendously well. It seems so down to earth and grounded, and Robbie is a fantastic singer, really comfortable in his head and chest voice there. A little bit of ornamentation, vibrato occasionally there, just a little bit of sort of simmer and zazz and sparkle there to kind of make it sweet, but not overselling it at the same time. We're not trying to make ourselves bigger than the song. We're there with other people performing alongside us, and we're there as a team for there to be this chemistry amongst everything, this sense of unison, so that the overall experience is what it needs to be. And so I think it sounds very honest, because Robbie is trying to be very honest with his situation and the way that he's feeling and stuff. And it comes across with a sense of authenticity, which is very, very attractive. And what I mean by that is, I want to believe what I'm being told, and Robbie tells it. And you can imagine how it would feel to be in love with someone. I think if you've ever been in love, you can probably relate to what Robbie's talking about here. And that's what makes it so damn good. The vocals are on point, Robbie's a sensational performer, and the lyrics made sense with it. The track at 3 minutes 20 is a masterclass in composition. We have the guitars at the start. We have occasional strings in the break after the first verse. We then have more guitars coming with different lines. We have like a bass line coming eventually, where it starts in the higher range before descending into the lower part to coalesce with the drums. You have other instrumental layers there. You have choirs. You have choir vocals and stuff like that. And it's a masterclass in composition, because it's not just all chucked in there at once. It is legitimately one of my favorite pieces I've heard in a long time, because of how elegantly and how discreetly it is put in there. And we have keys as well. The piano is wonderful. I want to sort of focus on a few things in particular, but like, just if you're wondering how I feel about the way it was composed and structured, just seamless transitions between parts, never an uncomfortable moment, no filler, absolute beautiful work. I wanted there to be more at the end, and that's wild. I wanted him to repeat the hook line at the end, and I can say, bottom of my heart, I almost never want that. I do not like choruses being overplayed, but this is one of the rare situations where I wanted more of it, and we didn't get it, and that's because the song was over. And that is a successful piece of music. A successful piece of music is when you don't want it to be over. if I had to focus on a few of the instruments, I think the guitars at the start, you get the idea of the guy sitting alone with a guitar, but it's that we didn't just play open chords. We played, again, some unusual chords, like with the with the unusual chord on the solo part. There we fingerpicked at some parts. There were some arpeggios. There were some slidey guitars and other little lead guitar parts that were almost sub layers. Or they were harmonies. They harmonized with the vocals in some parts as well. We had melodic unison between them. We didn't really do as much call and response, but we had a sense of sameness, as if the music, the thing that was representing the love, was with us as we were singing it, and that's more symbolism that is utterly flawless. The guitars were tremendous. The bass, when it came in, just that higher flurry with the interesting phrasing they're exploring, the fretboard coming down to sort of stand with the root notes, just exactly how it needed to be done. Had a bit of an entrance, bit of flurry, and it wasn't like overplaying either. It was stylish and easily identifiable. It was in a similar frequency range to a lot of the other stuff, which is the benefit of having a bass that has more than like 3 or 4 frets, is that you can go into that higher range near the guitar stuff. And they did that. The drums were wonderful, great sense of pace, very subtle in the mix, never overpowered. Some interesting fills there, exploring with the sort of 8ths and 16ths and stuff like that. But it was the epitome of a support act. They pocketed, they let it forward, and when they were gone, you realized they'd been there. And that's what you kind of need. You just need some musicians in a big piece like this to be able to sort of stand back a little bit, just be what they need to be instead of what they want. That's professionalism. And the keys as well. It's not just that we played interesting arpeggios and melodies and we explored scale shapes and stuff like that. It's that we kind of pitter-pattered on the top there and kind of went left to right in the stereo field in that last section there as little bits of sparkle there at the end of some of the lines there, because we understood even if it was call and response, it could be a little bit more than just a note or like a elongation of a similar theme there. It was unpredicted, and that's what made it fun and beautiful. And there were absolutely no sort of weird situations here. Like all the other sub layers that I mentioned, including, the keys, it's just, I'd say this is definitely a 9 out of 10, this track. Definitely a 9 out of 10. At the very least, it's an 8.5. I'm not really sure if I think... Robbie's a great vocalist, but I'm not sure if he's like a 9 out of 10 for his vocals, but he's definitely an 8, if not an 8.5. And I'm not really sure... There was parts of vocal fry and stuff like that. I just wasn't sure about a few of the rhythmic phrasings. But outside of that, the theme was a little bit sad, and then it was like kind of romantic, which made sense with the lyrics. The theme was very, very well done. There were different modes and different chord progressions of bass lines, and the theme itself, again, was just like one of hope but sincerity. It was like, we know we have to improve, and I'm looking up for help, and I need this help. It's just showing some vulnerability there, but like a general sense of optimism and potentially things getting better in the first place. And I think that is matched by the relative positivity of the progressions and stuff like that, the gentle nature of the instruments in the mix and the way they performed, no sharp sort of sounds. And then all in all, it was a wonderful performance overall with no note out of place. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering was sensational, commercial grade. Everything was well balanced in the mix. Flawless position. I've said flawless a lot. It was excellent positioning stuff in the frequency spectrum with no resonant frequencies. Nice and wide in the stereo field. Even had some stuff go backwards and forwards and stuff like that. The vocals were captured wonderfully. There was no processing on that. He could just sing really well. And there was incredible dynamic range as well. Things were not the same loudest all the time. It was a little bit quieter at the start. Things built up with the drums and everything around the midpoint. Bell curve finished really sweetly. And then, it was still nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression and limiting was handled. But effectively, this is a surprise. For me, this is a very surprising positive review of this track from an actor named Robbie Williams titled Better Man, which is a wonderful example of the fact that we really need to actively listen to music in order to appreciate it. And hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show Robbie Williams some love via their various social medias and Spotify page. And stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever thought of crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SU Patrons video. Spiderhands out.